Welcome to the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Centier Bank Studios. Finally back inside us. If you missed our Region Football Weekly Tailgate Show, we were outside in our mobile Centier Bank Studio, but glad to be here. Jack Thiel, Mike DeWan besides me, Zach Miller producing today's show. It is the first round of sectionals. Now, a couple of teams do have the night off, those 5A and 6A schools, but a lot of the lower A schools are playing tonight. And they're getting started in just a short bit. Of course, our game night built by Von Tobel, Hobart at New Prairie. That's going to be on the IHSA.org website or regionsports.com. But we have posted the link on our Facebook page. Follow that link in about 6:40, 6:45. We're going to be live from New Prairie. Once again, Hobart at New Prairie. Game night built by Von Tobel, IHSATV.org or regionsports.com. But that link has been posted throughout our Facebook page today and yesterday. We're going to go over our scores that we're going to cover, and you can also find on our hometown scoreboard courtesy of our friends from Strack and Van Til. We're going to talk about that game night built by Von Tobel, and we're going to talk about some other games that maybe isn't our game night built by Von Tobel, but we talked a little bit on Region Football Weekly, and we're going to give a little bit more highlight on that one just because we have a lot of good games tonight. And Mike DeWan's going to go over some of the leaders in the area. We got passing yards, we've got touchdowns, we've got receiving yards, we got rushing yards, we even got tackles, and Mike DeWan's going to go over those in just a short bit. So here's today's slate for Friday Night Football. The Andrean 59ers against the LaVille Lancers. Big game for Andrean, 3-6 on the year. LaVille 8-1. Bowman Academy will face off against South Newton Rebels. The Bremen Lions will face off against the Bishop Knoll Warriors. The Calumet Warriors will try to end that undefeated season. The Hanover Central Wildcats are number 2 team in our RSN top 10. The Culver Academy Eagles face off against the Low Red Devils in the Inferno. And then you have the Hobart Brickies at New Prairie. Once again, game night built by Von Tobel. Expect to go live about 6:40, 6:45. Lake Station Eagles face off against the Whiting Oilers. Rensselaer Central faces off against Griffith at the Boneyard. You got the Triton Trojans against the North Newton Spartans. Twin Lakes will face off against Boone Grove in their brand new stadium. The Westside Cougars against the KV Cougars. So the Battle of the Cougars going on tonight. And the Culver Cavaliers against the South Central Satellites. So those are those scores that you can find on a hometown scoreboard courtesy of our friends from Strack and Van Til. That will be on our Facebook and YouTube page. So going over this list, I think the first game that obviously is eye-popping is Andrean and LaVille, just because obviously Andrean, one of the regional teams for us that we cover, and LaVille comes in 8-1. We talked about how Andrean, this is a 3-6 team, but their record really does not represent the talent just because they've played a lot of tough non-conference opponents. And for LaVille, this is a team that we know a little bit of, not a lot, and this is kind of when you get into that territory where you face these kinds of teams, and it's long bus rides, whatever the case may be. But for us, Andrean has a chance here because to beat LaVille, 8-1 team, obviously records are records, and you're 0-0 starting tonight.
Correct.
But for Andrean, this is a bigger game, I think, because they came into this year with all those not high expectations because you lose Drake Bowen to Notre Dame. You lose a couple of guys to the transfer portal. No one's really expecting Andrean to be this hot team, but they kind of found their way in the middle of that season. They had that tough loss against Hobart where they were leading by 10 in the fourth quarter. And, you and I, like we just talked about, a couple of those tough non-conference matchups, and hung in there with Hanover Central for a little bit until the Wildcats got the best of them. For Andrean, this would be one way to start a huge momentum-building postseason against an 8-1 LaVille.
This is their element. That's kind of what they strive for. They build themselves in the regular season for a long postseason run. Again, they're playing 3A, 4A, 5A, maybe even 6A schools in the regular season. And as we know, they are a 2A school, and they are playing 2A from here on out. Now, granted, there are some very talented 2A programs out there like LaVille, but Andrean's built for this, and that's kind of what their schedule. That's their MO. 2A school, not a 2A schedule. We see it everywhere, and it works. It leads to postseason success no matter who's on that squad. So again, a 3-6 record by Andrean, but again, I don't think that doesn't encapsulate the Andrean 59ers, in my opinion. They have the playmakers that I think can take them over the top against LaVille. And again, it's tough to go on the road against, go into that environment, but I think this is this is a good start for them, playing a very solid team and hopefully making a decent run in the 2A sectional and beyond.
It's a very different environment as well because, it is playoffs, win or go home, but also, those you don't maybe think about it, but those long bus rides, these kids go to school until 2, 3 o'clock.
That's not fun.
And maybe they have a team meeting. They don't really probably have the chance to get to go home and just rest for a little bit. They're on the go. A game we'll talk about in Hobart in a little bit. A lot of these teams have to go to places they usually wouldn't go. And those hour and a half bus rides, you got to be quick on it because, look, I'm not no traffic guy, but there are traffic on the roads and it's rush hour.
And you're in a bus.
On a bus too. So, you kind of put it all together, when it's really hard for a road team to win on these types of nights because of the traveling they have to do. So, like I said, I don't think that's going to tell us who wins or loses a game, but I do think that is something to watch out for because that is taxing. You've played high school football, obviously, and you can probably answer this: were those long bus rides fun at all?
No, no. to put it lightly, again, it's cold. You're in algebra 2 for your 8th period. Then you got to hop on the bus in 30 minutes. It's a long day, to say the least, and especially when you're playing a competitive team like LaVille and Andre. And the key to that is, as simple put, you can't really start out flat. That's to LaVille's advantage. You spent a long day at school. Now you got to get on the bus and travel for a couple minutes or something. So it's, again, for Andre, and you have to start. You got to hit the ground running. I think, especially in this playoff environment against a very talented team.
Kind of a not long trip for them, but a decent bit, is Calumet Warriors. Now, this is a 3-6 team. They've got obviously a tough test, the Hanover Central Wildcats, who are 9-0. But, we kind of talked about in Drain that 3-6 doesn't represent the fight in this team. I would say the same about Calumet. This is a team that's better than a 3-6 record. If you go back to all the way into preseason, they were number 8 in our RSN top 10, and they played Gary Westside pretty well last week. It was 30-28, a very close game. We talked about that win against Griffith. So, do I think Calumet will win this game? Probably not, but I do think that the score is going to be a lot closer than we assume. Look, Hanover Central, they have steamrolled through everybody they face, probably besides Hobart and Morton this year. But for Calumet, they're a team that fights. They're a team that is really going to make you stress. Even a game you should win. Like, I would be very shocked if Hanover Central didn't win. But for Calumet, a team with a lot of fight and kind of like a Chesterton as well. A team that's probably not going to win the game, but they're going to play you hard all 4 quarters and not give you the easy win that you maybe would have expected.
Yeah, they don't want to. They don't want to seem as if they're kind of a walkover opponent looking for next week for Hanover, but Hanover, it's a tall task no matter what the identity of your team is, the way they've been playing. We've talked about it week in and week out. They are something else. And Calumet, again, they have some playmakers, but I don't think they have enough. It's just Hanover's from top to bottom. They're great, and cherry on top, they're at home. They don't have to make any sort of travel accommodations there. You can go home after school. You don't have to get on a long bus ride. It's another home game, it feels like. But you don't want to look at it that way. It's win or go home. Teams are 0-0. But the way Hanover's playing, and I expect them to still play, I think this is theirs to lose. I'd say.
Brian Parker is pretty confident in his team. If you missed it, go check out Facebook and YouTube. We talked to Brian Parker, head coach of the Hanover Central Wildcats.
You did.
I did, I guess, if you want to give me all the credit. But we talked to him and really gained a lot of insight. He's got so much love and respect for this team. And I really loved what he said about benchmarks. Because that is a big thing. You go 9-0, second year in a row in the regular season. Obviously, they didn't get to Lucas Oil, which they wanted to last year. Now they want to do that this year. It's all about those benchmarks. He said, well, first is to win the conference. And obviously joining a new conference, it meant a little more to them. Then it's going undefeated in the regular season. So he said, we're 2 for 2. Next is the win Friday. Next benchmark, win the next Friday. So I really gained a lot of insight on a lot of head coaches, because we also talked to Coach Craig Osika from Hobart, and he said the same thing. You got to take it week by week. You can't think ahead. You can't think, we have this team next week if we win. Now you have to think, well, we've got this team tonight, and what are we going to do about it? So for Brian Parker, I was really impressed in that interview just because the way he talked about his team and his coaches. He was pointing out each individual coach and how special they've been to this team. So
it's a dude you want to play for. That's it. He encapsulates what Hanover stands for as a program, and it's showing on the field. Again, they have some crazy streaks going on right now that absolutely. I don't think we even remember what those numbers are at right now. It's
24 regular season wins in a row, and their last regular season loss was, I believe, believe, September 3rd of 2021.
So at least he remembered it. But anyways, but it's again, that's a guy that it starts with him.
It does, yeah.
It's, of course, the players on the field make a big part of it, but it starts at the top, and it's a trickle down effect from what he expects from his players, and they just get the job done. Obviously, since 21. So it's. I expect the same from now, and we'll see how far they go. That's really the question now.
Yeah.
It's not where but when.
And what's special about this team, and what I also learned from it, is all these guys playing have stayed with this program throughout their high school football careers. In today's world, you see some guys go and transfer to other schools and this and that. This is a team that's been playing with each other probably since those Pop Warner days. He talked about Matt Kuntz starting as a quarterback right out of the gate. And the fact that he's been here for 3 years now, he's ran the offense, he knows what works, he knows what he can do well on the field, that only elevates the team's performance. He talked about how all these guys who are making impacts, Colin Foy, Caden Verrett, those are guys who have been with that Hanover program and have built their way up.
Yeah, that's a way to look at it. I mean, it's as great as they have been, it's kind of I don't want to call it a rebuilding, or not a rebuilding, I should say, just building program. But I mean, they're moving their way up the ranks, of course, going into a bigger conference, and they're doing good things. I kind of expect with how big that community is growing, I'm sure that maybe a class size jump could be in the near future, and it's keeps up that building process, seeing that this program could be something bigger than it already is, and I think that keeps the kids engaged and wants to play for Brian Parker and the rest of this program.
And next game we're going to talk about, and kind of not really, but the sectional in general, is Lowell. They play Culver tonight, but the sectional runs through the Inferno, something you don't see too often, but how important is that for Lowell? Because this is a Lowell team, maybe not to the standards they've been in the past years. Still a decent team. They've got a couple of good players. I know Colton Scott, their junior running back, has been a bright spot. But for the sectional to run through Lowell, I mean, talk about how big that is for them, because it is a loaded sectional.
Oh, of course. It's always the 4A sectional, super fun, but I kind of get chills thinking about it in a bad way. Like Lowell playing at the Inferno in October, where they
wear powder black jerseys.
It's pitch black. They're wearing all black. The crowd is decked out in black. It is scary as an opposition going on the other sideline. It is grass is hard. It's just you're putting your hand on the dirt and it's just stone. It is. That place is so tough to play at, and no matter what team Lowell is fielding. And again, I think it's just luck of the draw with the way the sectional goes.
Yeah.
You have to go to the Inferno and beat the Red Devils if you want to gain home field advantage, and that's a tall task to do in October and November, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Next game, Rensselaer Central and Griffith. Phil Mason first year with the Panthers. Now Griffith coming off a loss against Wheeler. The quarterback Colton Strezzo did leave that game with a possible concussion. He scored a rushing touchdown in that first quarter, and he never came back in. So not sure what's going to go on with the Panthers. If Strezzo is unable to play, it will be Ryan Bolian, the freshman quarterback. You, Rick Novak, and myself at the tailgate party kind of talked about how this is still a good Griffith team, but maybe a year away from winning this game.
Yeah, let's see if they put that to rest. You got to grow up at this rate. You've spent 9 games playing. If this is your junior or sophomore season, your non-senior season, I should say, and it's time to grow up. This is when boys become men in a way, and it starts right here. Again, being in front of your home crowd at the Boneyard. Again, we know how important football is for the Griffith faithful, and this is a chance to kind of write your name for not only this year, but then again looking forward to next year for a successful season with those group of guys. But this should be a fun one. Again, I know we're going to keep our eyes on it for sure.
Twin Lakes and Boone Grove. Boone Grove, number 6 team in our RSN top 10, playing in a brand new $10 million stadium for the second week in a row. Definitely better weather than last week.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, it should be a fun one. It's if there's a to play your first playoff game of the year, it's there's no better place to play it than at home, especially in a stadium you just broke in last week. But again, we kind of talked about it like yesterday. It's going to be a fun one. Twin Lakes has some guys, of course. That's not an easy bus ride.
Very heavy passing team too.
Again, it's a lot of West Coast stuff over there. If you wanna stay for a long football game, unlike the Battle of the Cougars we're going to talk about next, it's there's going to be a lot of passes thrown around and two very solid quarterbacks. Of course, Mark Rowland, who is probably one of the better quarterbacks in the area, I could safely say. But it's going to be a fun one, to say the least.
It is. You kind of mentioned it already. The Cougars, Westside and KV. Westside are number 18. KV was number 10, but they lost to Munster last week in a very close one at home. If you like running backs, this is your game. Westside likes to call themselves RBU. Maybe KV wants to call himself that too with Marco Castro. I mean, if you go back to his performance last week, although they lost, over 300 rushing yards.
Just from Castro.
And you go to Westside, they had two guys with over 100 yards, but combined 350, and Giuseppe Moore and Omari and Yorborough. This is a Westside team that has had an electric offense. They've had 2 wins with 68 points or more scored. For KV, this is a team that's been up and down. Obviously, they started the year a little not the way they wanted to, and then in the middle of the year, they got that win streak and Kirk Kennedy's 200th career win. Obviously, that Munster would have been win against Munster would have been really nice to end your regular season on. Couldn't do that, but like we keep saying, every team is 0-0. KV's at home, kind of a little bit of a far drive for the West Side Cougars. But I'm excited to see the box score after this one because these are 2 offenses that can score, and these are also 2 defenses that have had their struggles throughout the year. I'm really curious to see the rushing yard totals for both teams tonight.
Yeah, that's for sure. Again, a lot of handoffs where it's going to be a lot of smash mouth football, but I think what separates KV from Westside, which was my pick yesterday, I think KV could throw the ball around a little bit more than Westside. They've established that passing game. We're going to talk about Diego Arroyo when we go over the stats, as well as Lane Zander, who is a very solid receiver and punt and kickoff return man. So I know, keep the handoffs, stay ready for that. But I think KV, they could spread the ball around a little bit more, and I think they get a big playoff win. Westside,
they average about 50 carries a game.
Yeah, it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But you like to see maybe a receiver kind of step up and spread the field a little bit. But I think Westside, I don't remember the exact number, but they're looking for just a sectional tournament win in a while. It's been some time, and no better program I think to do it against in the opening round against Kirk Kennedy and the KV Cougars. So it should be a fun one.
I believe if they win, or I think with that win last week, they have a couple of consecutive years now with 6 wins or more.
Yeah, Westside, with their season, this is their first. They've won 6 or more times in the regular season for 3 straight seasons, and that is the first time in, I believe, school history, according to their Twitter page, that this has ever happened since 1968. But I was looking in the past couple of years, and they have not had much sectional success. They could barely get through the first game. So I think they're really looking to kind of break that MO. Of course, they're making history now, but why not make some more history with tonight? So we'll see.
We're going to take a break here on the Quintel Kickoff Show, and when we come back, we're going to talk about our game night built by Von Tobel, which is going to be available to view in just a short bit. Hobart at Newpers. You're watching this on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Update your kitchen or bathroom with Von Tobel. Get 20% off select cabinets now through October 28th. Von Tobel has cabinets and vanities in a range of styles and colors, plus built-in storage, countertops, and flooring. Our designers will help you find the perfect selections for your style and budget. Scan to visit VonTobels.com today to book your free consultation at one of our 4 Indiana showrooms. Von Tobel, building better together.
When life takes you places and you can't get to the store, shop online with Strack and Van Til To Go. Our to-go service is easy to use, and it can save you time and money. Once your order is in, our own Strack and Van Til team preps your order with care. For delivery or pickup, enjoy the convenience of letting our to-go team shop for you. Enjoy your special moments. Sign up online today at shop.strackandvantil.com.
Hi, I'm Crowell Company's Lantern Man. I'll cover your motorcycle. I'll be with you on the water. I'll be with you on the snow. I'll cover your insurance needs wherever you go. I'll be at Crowell Agency from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. As Crowell Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Companies, the insurance professionals in Highland, Maryville, and Michigan City.
From schools to stadiums, hospitals and bridges, everywhere you look, union carpenters are building Indiana. With jobs and skilled trades in high demand, there's never been a better time to start building your future. As an apprentice, you'll earn a debt-free college degree, earn while you learn, and receive great benefits like healthcare and retirement. So what are you waiting for? Visit carpenters.com to learn more. Visit carpenters.com and start building your future today.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
Have you checked out Send to Your Bank's student checking account? This no-fee checking account is perfect for students and teens ages 14 to 24 and comes with all the features you need to succeed, such as a debit card, digital banking, and automatic deposit. Send to Your Bank can help you start establishing good spending habits today for your better tomorrow. For more information, visit sendtoyour.com/student-checking or visit your local branch. If you are under the age of 18, your parent or guardian must also sign on the Send to Your student checking account. At the age of 25, your account will automatically convert to the Send to Your checking account. You must deposit $25 to open this account. This account is not eligible for overdraft advantage. Member FDIC.
Back here on the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Send to Your Bank studios. Thank you for making us a part of your night where we're almost set for Friday Night Lights and our game night built by Von Tobel, Hobart at New Prairie. Just a reminder, we've been posting a link all throughout our Facebook page on the IHSATV.org website. That's where you need to go to watch tonight's Hobart at New Prairie game. Once again, we've been posting it throughout our Facebook page. And if you can't find it, please let us know. We'd be happy to send you that link so you can watch tonight's game night built by Von Tobel. And with that being said, let's talk about it because this is a doozy. 7-2 teams. A lot of people has pinned this as the sectional championship just because these are probably the two best teams in that bracket section. Hobart, we obviously all know about the Brickies. The season they've had, I mean, they've got an electric offense in Johnny Sorensen, TJ Caldwell, Willie Shear, and hey, the sophomore running back, Max Pickett's making some noise now. For New Prairie, this is a team that obviously we haven't covered much over the year just because they're near that South Bend area, but still a very impressive team. And if you want to go back to history, New Prairie ended Hobart's season last year at the Brickyard, so maybe a little bit of revenge for the Brickies just because now they can end New Prairie season at Miller Field in New Carlisle, Indiana. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited for this. I think both teams really match up well. For the New Prairie Cougars, they haven't thrown an interception all year. Now, let's hope since I'm not broadcasting tonight, it's not a broadcaster's jinx. It happened to me. It happened to me last week. I was calling the Wheeler game, and Tyne Vetticole was 28 of 28 on extra points. Actually, 29 of 29. He made one. And on his 30th one of the year, I go to my color partner, Doug Nelson. I said, he's 29 of 29 so far. Let's see if he can go 30 for 30.
And it's off.
And he missed his first one. And then on the second one, he missed again. So
oh, my.
You
are banned from Wheeler High School.
I jinxed a little bit. Sorry about that. Hypothetical. But our game night built by Von Tobel. Mike, we talked about it on the Region Football Weekly Tailgate Show. This is definitely a game to watch. Both offenses are electric. Both defenses can be good. They've had their ups and downs where they've given up a couple of points here and there. You know, we talked to Craig Osica this past week, and he had a lot to say about that New Prairie team, you know, talking about how big, how physical, how fast they are. And that's the same about Hobart. I think both of these teams come in hungry. You got a Hobart team like we talked about. Wants that revenge. You know, getting your season ended at your home field, I mean, you might know about that. I'm not sure if your season never ended at Munster. If it ever did, I mean, you know that sour taste that leaves in your mouth, especially if you're a senior because that's your last game and your season ends. So for Hobart, this is a chance for them to, you know, win this game, not for the guys playing right now, but for the guys that had to suffer that loss last year. And for New Prairie, this is a team that's had some tough competition this year. You know, you go and you think, this team lost to LaPorte, how is that? But they really found themselves after that game. Now, a very tough loss, obviously. Their only other loss since then was Penn. It was 22-0, so, you know, we've seen many of these region teams fall to Penn over the years, but both teams 7-2. We talk about, you know, Willie Shear, Max Pickett, TJ Caldwell, Johnny Sorensen. You know, they are really going to be the key players in tonight's game for the Brickies.
They got to be. Hey, rip the Band-Aid off early, I guess they're saying. You know, this may as well probably be the 4A sectional championship, and it was last year, and, you know, I expect it probably to kind of have that same environment as it does again for Hobart. It's a long bus drive, about an hour bus drive, I'd say. Maybe a little less for Hobart, but it's a long day of school, and you probably got to maybe have a little bit of time to go home, kind of fuel up. It's luckily the game is at 8 Eastern time. They are on the Eastern time, so it is still kind of the same time for Hobart. That hasn't changed, but it's
a little later though for New Prairie.
That is true. Yeah, you wonder if that
you got to wait it maybe a half an hour.
And again, that's credit to them, their athletic department, for kind of letting Hobart, of course, get out there. I know the Bricky faithful is going to be traveling as well. They want to get their fans out there, of course, but it's going to be a doozy, like you're saying. To quote our boy Rick Novak, it's going to be a slobber knocker, as he likes as he likes to say.
Oh wow!
I know. He said that twice last week.
Did he get that from the Oxford Dictionary?
I have no clue, but regardless of that, there's no better way to put it. There's talent on both sides of the ball. I think Hobart very well might be playing their best player of the year. I think Marshall Kamisic, the New Prairie quarterback, is a true dual threat, and he's kind of led them to, again, drop in the opener against LaPorte. Then he's just been fantastic ever since, and it's
because he has, like we said, no interceptions. And how many total touchdowns? I believe it's over 20.
It's up there. I didn't write that down.
I know he's got
1,800 total yards. He's got 1,000 yards of passing and 800 on the ground. So he's a guy to watch out both on the ground and through the air. But it's, again, I like Hobart. I think they're going to travel well. I think with the crowd coming there, it's going to be nice. But the one thing to look out for Hobart, along with hopefully not starting out flat, is that they're playing on grass. And I think they only played on grass once this year at Andrain, but that's tough, especially in this cold weather. Ground's going to get hard. It's not as fast as turf. It's something you really have to adjust for as a player. And I think Coach Osika got his guys ready. That they know how important playoff football is for the Hobart Brickies, and I think they get the job done tonight and get that sweet revenge against the Cougars.
And I asked him about that because his star players now really weren't there for that loss. Willie Shear is really the only one that's a big-time threat on that offense.
And he was behind Trey Gibson.
So he didn't play that much, but you go to the quarterback Sorensen and the receiver TJ Caldwell. They weren't with Hobart last year. Sorensen, Lake Central. For Caldwell, he was at Calumet. So, I asked him, well, these guys weren't there, so how do they get amped up for this game like other guys? Because I'm sure the guys who were there last year, when that drawing came out, they circled it. They probably put like a New Prairie Cougar picture on a dartboard and started throwing some darts or something, as you see in those movies and shows. And he said, well, the guys have been telling them, even though they've only been here for a year, they've really invested themselves in the Bricky football program.
You could just walk the halls and see all this hardware from the Don Hall days, unfortunately my dad's team was on the wrong ends of some on the Munster teams of years past, but that they were so dominant back then, and that it kind of paints a picture for future Bricky programs to do the same thing. There's such a big story. Just bunch of stories in history for Hobart, and it's a chance to kind of rewrite your own story, make a name for yourself, be up there with the greats of Hobart football. And I don't think if you're with the program for 10 years or 1 year, I think it should get you juiced up no matter what to write a name for yourself for one of Northwest Indiana's most prestigious programs, in my opinion.
And Osika mentioned how the coaches have really done a good job getting these kids ready, because talk to me about how a lot of these guys played Bricky football back in the day, and they were on those great teams that had those big runs. And he said, look, we've all played some college football. Craig Osika actually made it to the league. Yeah. So you said, some of us have actually made it to the league. Some of us have played college ball. But I'll tell you one thing, only one guy in this room has won a state championship. And he talked about how hard it is and how much of a grind it is, and you really have to work for it. So, a coach like that, he's getting his players prepared, and I love how he mentioned that his coaching staff is being with his players on this, because one coach can't do all the work. There are so many great coaches on every team and every staff that do so many great jobs that maybe we don't highlight every week. And I loved when he mentioned that we have so much experience on this coaching staff.
It's what makes teams great. Again, you talk about unsung heroes, and of course we talk about the head coaches, but positional coaches and assistant coaches, they often go overlooked, and it's, again, you really have to pick them well as a head coach, because they really kind of shape out your team and get teams ready for hopefully long runs like this that hopefully Hobart is striving for. But again, you got to start with New Prairie. That's going to be a fun one, and I think if there's one game to be a part of this week, I think we picked right, and we're happy to be a part of it. So check it out, man.
If this game, let's say, is high scoring, do you think that favors the Brickies more or New Prairie? Because these are both offenses that can put a lot of points on the board. We talked about the quarterback for New Prairie, the dual threat, able to do it with his arms and his legs. Obviously, for Hobart, you got a top 10 quarterback in passing yards, you got a top 10 receiver in receiving yards, and you got a top 10 running back in rushing yards and total touchdowns. So if we get to a very high-scoring game, let's say maybe above 28 points, does that favor Hobart more or New Prairie?
Got to say Hobart. Their offense, I mean, no disrespect to the defense, but their offense has,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say bailed them out of 2 games, but I'd say they've won them 2 games.
Yeah.
Again, they scored 53 against Kankakee Valley and almost lost. They gave up 48, and then they were down by
26, I believe, to Morton.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to mention Morton, but that's true too. Of course, they were down, I think it was 26-3 or 26-10, and then I was going to mention Andrean too. 2 comeback wins that were built off of their offense. If your offense can't get things going, that might favor New Prairie a little bit more, I think. That'll be New Prairie, of course. They also have Hayden Scott, 73 tackles on the year. Their leading tackler, a very solid defensive player. And I think Hobart, I mean, you have to play to your strengths, and I think you have to get that offense going. You have to score points. Defense, of course, we kind of had them in question all year, but I think if their offense does what they've been doing for the past 9 weeks, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see once again our game night built by Von Tobel, New Prairie, and Hobart. You can view that one in about a couple of minutes, 6:40, 6:45. Reminder, our Facebook page has been posting the link to the ihsaatv.org website. That's the only place where you can really watch tonight's game. Unfortunately, not on our Facebook or YouTube pages. You'll have to watch it on that link. So keep going through our Facebook page if you can't find it. And it's on the screen as well, as our producer Zach Miller just tells me. And if you're still having trouble, we'll be sure to put in our comments, and we want you guys to watch that game as much as we do. Once again, game night built by Von Tobel, New Prairie, and Hobart. Make sure you watch that one. We're going to take a break here in the Quintel Kickoff Show, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the top leaders here in the region. As you're watching us on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
With electrical services from Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, you can radiate the perfect amount of light and energy into your home. From rewiring and code upgrades to ceiling fans, lighting, security, and more, Economy Electric Heating and Cooling's trained electricians will make sure you can enjoy your home on full power all the time. For a free estimate on electrical work, call Economy Electric Heating and Cooling at 219-923-4441, and you can visit them on the web at 4ajobdoneright.com. That's the number 4ajobdoneright.com.
Develop skills that will last for a lifetime with an apprenticeship with the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers Local 4, Indiana, Kentucky. The apprenticeship and training program is committed to developing highly skilled bricklayers, terrazzo workers, and ceramic tile setters to provide the construction industry with the best hands in the business. If you are currently working non-union and want better pay with benefits, or if you think learning a new skill with a paid apprenticeship while you earn your associate's degree is the right path for you, visit baclocal4.org/training to learn more about the apprenticeship program. Are you built to succeed?
For over 100 years, Burns Funeral Home and Crematory has been assisting families in their time of need. Serving Northwest Indiana, the staff at Burns Funeral Home will help guide your family in creating a meaningful ceremony. From a simple to elaborate, to traditional or unique, the caring family at Burns Funeral Home will tailor a ceremony to fit your needs. And for your other loved ones, Burns Funeral now has a pet cemetery and crematory. Visit burnsfuneral.com or give them a call at 219-942-1117.
Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso is a leader in athletics apparel and equipment sales. With in-house production including screen printing, trophies, embroidery, and more, Blythe's can help you to create the perfect look. For more information, visit them online at teamblythes.com. Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso, where the athletes shop.
Finishing up here on the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Centier Bank Studios, almost set for kickoff, our game night built by Von Tobel, Hobart at New Prairie. Remember, you have to go to the ihsatv.org website. We posted the link throughout our Facebook page, so make sure you go to one of those posts, click the link, and that'll take you right to the page where you can watch Hobart at New Prairie. Now I'll talk about some statistical leaderboards. Now Mike Dewan is the man that makes all of these graphics you see on our social media pages, and we're going to go over them for tonight's game. And what's really interesting is, although those higher schools in the 5A and 6A aren't playing, a lot of these kids that are on the list are playing tonight.
Yep.
You know, a lot of these kids maybe aren't on your Lake Central, Valpo, Crown Point, Maryville team. A lot of these schools that, you know, they're the smaller schools that maybe don't get as much coverage, they have some of the best players in the area.
You got some dogs in those lower divisions, and got a lot of guys playing two ways and all that.
Absolutely.
So I think we're going to start with the passing yards. It starts at the top with Mark Rowland of Boone Grove. I think he's led the way just about all year. That West Coast offense is no joke, and it starts with him under center. Again, only a junior quarterback. Expect him probably here next year. From what we're seeing, I think from what I read up, he broke a couple school records of his own in terms of passing yardage. He is just one of the most prolific passers in the area. Moving on, we have another junior, Colton Fouts of Calumet Christian in second place, followed by Caleb Klimzak, another junior. We're going to keep it going, of Wheeler. Scott Ballantyne of Andrean, followed by Noah Ehrlich, a junior from Crown Point. Matt Kuntz of Hanover Central. Johnny Sorensen of Hobart. Holland Harris of Morton. Tyler Bush of Michigan City. And Diego Arroyo of Kankakee Valley. So again, when you kind of look at the teams that are on these passing yards lists, you kind of notice that there are a lot of... These are some of the most balanced offenses, in my opinion, in the area. Of course, we talk about Hobart, and we're going to mention a couple playmakers from them in a little bit. But KV has some names that'll pop up as well, and these are the fun teams. I mean, offensively, these are teams that I personally kind of want to get out and see, because it is, especially with the passing yards, because I'm so accustomed to just running the ball, putting your hands in the dirt, and smash mouth football. But these guys are breaking the grain, and it's, again, credit to them for just hucking the ball around, completing passes, and we'll talk about the receivers that catch those passes. But it's been fun to see these guys, what they've been doing so far. But moving on to our rushing yards leaders, it starts with Daniel Askadam of Munster.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of carries from what I'm seeing. We talked to Coach
over 40 last week against KV.
Oh, that hurts me just talking about it. Yeah, we talked to Coach Grunwald, and we talked to him yesterday, and he just said he just doesn't get tired. He's kind of the guy of that wishbone offense, and he just gets plenty of carries, man. He's a trooper, and I think he broke Munster's single-season rushing record, so congrats to Daniel. But moving on, we have Marco Castro, again, a guy we talk about plenty of times, of course, from Kankakee Valley. Again, kind of that balanced offense from the Cougars. Moving on, we got Amarian Yalborough, who's playing tonight against KV. So Marco Castro and Amarian, that's going to be number 2 and 3 in rushing yards leaders in the area. We got the great Caden Verrett, Jackson Lawson of Griffith behind him. That's top out of the 5. That's 4 juniors, and the top 5 are rushing yards. It's fun to see Jaden Ortiz, another junior from Wheelers, behind him. Dontel Harris, junior of Morton. Larry Ellison of Crown Point. Aiden Silver, a quarterback of River Forest. And Willie Shearer of Hobart. Moving on to our receiving yards, the guys that are wrangling in those passes from their quarterbacks that are probably on our list. We start with Isaiah Kish of Calumet Christian, getting all those from Colton Fouts, so the second leading passer. Then we have Bryce straight out of Compton from Wheeler. Going to TJ Caldwell from Hobart, catching all those from Johnny Sorensen, who's playing Justin a little bit. We have Lane Zander from Kankakee Valley, again, another Cougar on our list. We have Landon Delich, Crown Point, another Bulldog on our list. Jimmy Finley, junior two-way player from Andrean, follows behind him. LeBron Hill from Morton. Javon Lawrence had a late-season surge to kind of end up on this list from Calumet. Tyler Torbson, one of Mark Rowland's many targets out there in Boone Grove. And rounding out the list is L.J. Richardson of Lake Central. Moving on to our non-passing touchdowns, Caden Verrett's been pacing the way really for a couple weeks now. He's once conference play hit, he was just racking up that fantasy score. Just got a nose for the end zone. So he paces the way by 3 with 24 total scores on the year, followed by Larry Ellison of Crown Point, Jackson Lawson of Griffith. Deshaun Woods has been at that 18 number for a little bit. I don't think he's been playing as of late. Daniel Askedam of Munster with 18 as well. Willie Shearer with 17. Marion Yalber with 17. Dontel Harris with 17. Aiden Silver with 16, again, as a quarterback. Those are all, again, he's a big play dude. It's going to be fun to watch him play tonight. And then Marco Castro of Kankakee Valley. Moving on, our lone defensive statistic that we were keeping track of all year. It was tough because only so many schools post sack numbers and interception numbers. So tackles, we're gonna roll with that with the former linebacker. It's fun to see all these linebackers shine. And it starts with Nick Johnson. He's just about paced the way. De'Aris Beeson, who's in second place, kind of gave him a run for his money, but Nick Johnson has 133 on the year through 9 games. He's going to add to that total tonight, I bet. De'Aris Beeson of River Forest in second with 119. Then we go to Jackson Smith of Wheeler with 114. Bradley Gibson's the guy in Hobart with 105. Followed by Julian Ramirez of Bishop Knoll, the lone Bishop Knoll warrior on here. Xavier Harlovich, the second Wheeler Bearcat on the tackling list. Of course, we talk about that offense, but they got they got a nice linebacker core over there in Wheeler. Behind him is Alex Ponce of Calumet, Kyle Frio of LaPorte, Tyler Torpson of LaPorte, and Tyler Torpson of Boone Grove, and RJ Carnes of LaPorte. So 2 slicers on that list as well. But yeah, this was a fun job to do for the majority of the year. This was kind of a little bit of our idea to kind of get these, just post. Kids were dying for these. This was something that again people were always asking for, and it was fun to kind of track out some of the stats a little bit. I know this may not be completely correct, so again, our apologies if maybe something may look incorrect, but simply put, it was fun. It was to see kind of these playmakers of the area, what they've been doing for 9 games plus, and hey, we're expecting a little bit more, but this is going to be it for our statistical leaderboards. No better way to put it. It was a fun time, but expect some more. Expect these playmakers to keep doing what they're doing in these in the postseason play.
Yeah, we're getting about that time. It's 6:45 Central here, and our game night built by Von Tobel Hobart at New Prairie should be getting started just in any moment now. Reminder, ihsatv.org is where you watch tonight's game. Now, where can you find that? We have posted the link throughout our Facebook page periodically throughout the day. Click the link, and that will take you right to our game. And we've had it throughout the show, I believe, on the screen as well. So just a reminder, use that link. That is the #1 and only source/direction that you can watch our only game night built by Von Tobel. And to follow all the scores of other games going on for the first round sectionals, follow our hometown scoreboard courtesy of our friends from Strachan Van Til. You can find it on our Facebook page, YouTube page, of course, our website, regionsports.com. Mike, any final words before we get set? I mean, some games have already started actually for sectionals, but before we get set for a game night built by Von Tobel Hobart at New Prairie, any final words?
This is what makes a season great. It's, again, a bunch of learning experiences here. That there's no environment like playoff environment. Again, the weather's cold. It's football weather, as they say, and it doesn't get much better than this. It's been a fun season, but let's just keep it going, and let's have another good Friday night here in the region. It doesn't get much better than this, to simply put it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Sossler and Josh Huddleston will be on the calls, Zach Zanelli producing the game, and Milton Johnson on camera. Big thank you to our executive producer, Chris Ramirez, our operations manager, Rich Castillo, our producer for the kickoff show, Zach Miller, Mike DeWan, my co-host, and don't worry, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be back for the Hose Connections halftime report, but hey, remember, ihsatv.org. We've posted that link throughout our Facebook page.
Go get it.
Game is about to start. Tune in. It's going to be a good one, but for the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Centier Bank Studios, that is all from us. We'll be back at halftime as you're watching us on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.